Okay, so let's get right into it. Picture this. You're standing backstage, about to give a huge presentation. Your heart is pounding, your palms are sweaty. You know the feeling. Now, what if I told you that exact same physical sensation is what you get right before a roller coaster drops? It's true. The body's response to intense fear and intense excitement is literally identical.
And just look at this. It makes it so clear. On the fear side, racing heart, sweaty palms, a surge of cortisol, a tightening chest. Now look at the excitement side. Yep, it's the exact same list. Your body only has one high-energy gear to get you ready for something big, and it really doesn't care if that something is scary or thrilling.
So, if the physical reaction is a complete mirror image, what on earth is it that separates crippling stage fright from pure, unadulterated joy? What's the one single thing that changes the entire experience for you?
It all comes down to this: the story, the label, the narrative your brain decides to pin on that physical feeling. That is the one and only difference between your brain screaming, "We're about to die," and "This is going to be amazing."
And this brings us to what we can call the agitation paradox. See, your body goes into this hyper-aware, agitated state as a kind of neutral alarm. It's just getting you ready for something significant, but it doesn't know what yet. It's basically looking at your brain and going, "Okay, boss, what is it? Are we running from a lion or are we about to win the lottery?"
So, knowing that, what's the first piece of advice we always get when we're freaking out? Just calm down. Well, it turns out that's also the single worst piece of advice you could ever get. Let's dig into the science of why trying to calm down almost always backfires.
Mel Robbins has the perfect analogy for this. She says it's like trying to stop a speeding freight train by just, dropping a giant boulder on the tracks. You're not going to stop the train, you're just going to cause a huge, messy disaster. And neurologically, that's exactly what's happening.
So here's why it's a trap. Step 1, your body is jacked up. It's in a state of high agitation, right? That's high energy. Step 2, your brain tries to slam on the brakes and force a state of calm, which is super low energy. That neurological clash, that internal war between two opposite states, it doesn't just fail, it often makes the fear so much worse.
And here's the big secret. You don't fight the energy, you work with it. You don't try to stop that speeding train, you accept its momentum, and you just pull a lever to redirect it down a whole different set of tracks, one that leads somewhere way more useful. So how do you actually grab that lever and switch the tracks? Well, it starts with this simple but really powerful technique for seizing manual control of your own brain. It's the 5-second rule. The second you feel that fear starting to bubble up, you start counting backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This simple act is what's called a pattern interrupt. It literally snaps the chain of anxious thoughts before they can spiral out of control.
And here's the really cool part. The countdown is a cognitive tool that actually shifts your brain activity. It pulls you out of that primitive, panicked, fight-or-flight limbic system and fires up your prefrontal cortex. The sophisticated part of your brain that's in charge of focus, conscious thought, and making deliberate choices. You're literally taking back the controls.
Okay, you've hit the brakes on that fear spiral with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your prefrontal cortex is online and waiting for instructions. The very next step is to give it a new destination. You've got to choose where you want to redirect all that energy, and this is where your anchor thought comes into play. Now, a really effective anchor thought isn't just any random happy memory. It has to follow 3 very specific rules. 1, it absolutely must be happy and positive. 2, it has to be future-focused, something you're genuinely looking forward to. And 3, this is crucial, it has to be contextually relevant to whatever is making you anxious. Here's a perfect example of how that works. Let's say you're terrified of flying to go see your family. Your anchor thought could be a super vivid mental image of you laughing with them after you've landed safely. See how that works? It connects the scary thing, the flight, with a positive future outcome that your brain can lock onto as the goal. All right, now for the final piece of the puzzle, the hack that locks this whole thing into place. You've interrupted the fear, you've planted your anchor thought. Now it's time to seal the deal with one simple, verbal declaration. So let's run through the whole sequence. Step 1. You feel that fear, you notice the agitation in your body. Step 2, you interrupt the spiral by counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step 3, you immediately picture your positive anchor thought. And step 4, you say, out loud if you can, "I am so excited to," and then you finish that sentence with whatever your anchor thought is about.
Now, let's just step inside your brain for a second while it's trying to figure all this out. First, it gets the physical data. It thinks, okay, heart is pounding, palms are sweaty. My body is definitely agitated.
Then it hears the verbal cue you just gave it. And it's like, wait a minute, my mouth is literally forming the words, I'm excited. That totally contradicts the fear story I was just about to run with.
And finally, it processes the visual you've given it. And on top of all that, my mind's eye is projecting this really clear, positive image that's directly related to what's happening right now. So with all this conflicting evidence, your brain has to solve the puzzle. And it concludes the only logical thing it can. Well, my body is agitated, and I'm saying and thinking exciting things. I guess I must be excited. And just like that, you have successfully reframed the entire emotion.
The most important part here is that this isn't just a clever mental trick to make you feel a little better. It's a practical tool that transforms you from someone who's paralyzed by fear into someone who can actually take action, even when the pressure is on.
And listen, this isn't just theory. Look at these real-world wins. A woman named Sarah used this exact technique to get over a lifelong terror of flying and finally took a helicopter tour in Hawaii. Another woman, Carol, beat her fear of public speaking to deliver a speech to her colleagues, something that was a massive life goal for her.
The big takeaway from all this is so powerful. You can't always control that initial physiological storm that fear kicks up in your body. That stuff happens automatically. But what you can always control is the story you choose to tell yourself about what those feelings mean.
And that leaves us with one final question for you. Whether it's public speaking, or flying, or having a difficult conversation, or finally chasing that big dream, what fear are you going to reframe into excitement first?